Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The guys are here, the chat is ready, and the conversation starts now.
What's going on, football fans? Welcome back to another live edition of the Pound for Pound ATL. Glad y'all are joining us tonight. I'm joined by two of my main guys, Toby D and Mike Dove. What's going on, gentlemen? How are y'all doing tonight?
Hey, man, we feeling good. And you see Mike Dove got that Braves shirt on tonight, so we hoping the Braves can get their third win in this series, man, and hopefully, man, this time close it out, not like last.
No doubt. Yeah, that's definitely something we need to happen. Need to keep those good vibes going.
Yep. And you know what, JR, that's I couldn't agree more, right? Like, because I wore my Braves shirt because I want to carry the same energy we had like Saturday night after the break. Had stole one, and we felt good. Atlanta United had won. Georgia won. Yeah. The Falcons didn't play, so there wasn't really much to get mad about. Like, so I think it's Wednesday. Braves got another shot to try to get one done. Last game is behind us. Can't really do much about that, right? So like I said, man, it's a good week for some good energy. It's a new week, new energy. So like I said, I look forward to seeing what we get into.
That's right. Yeah, I think. It's always good to be talking about, postseason ball, whether it's the Braves, the Hawks are starting up again. They have a good looking, season coming up, at least something that we feel good about. Like I said, Atlanta United won. Falcons are getting back into their work week, hoping to, maybe go 500 for the first time. And I can't even actually remember.
Since 2017,
yeah, right, 2017, right. So,
they were
so yeah, I think there are certain things that are pointing up. Yeah, I know. Obviously, last night, blowing a lead in typical Atlanta fashion. That's whatever. That's baseball. You went from down 2 runs to up 3 runs. So that's why
right.
That's why they play a series. So they got a chance to get it right again tonight. Hopefully steal one out there in LA and come back and try to close it out here in Atlanta. That would be real slick, But let's get into, obviously we're coming off the bye week. We didn't lose last week, obviously, unless you want to count like, some names popping up on the injury list. You got Caleb McGarry going on the COVID list, which it's not a great thing, just especially when your offensive line was just starting to really show some improvement and starting to gel. But Caleb McGarry is arguably one of the weaker links on the offensive line. So, maybe you get a chance for like a Jason Spriggs to come in, and because he seems to be the first man up. It's either him or Cody Gossett. But I think via the depth chart that was released, it looks like it's Spriggs is going to be the first one to get a shot to try to hold down that right tackle position. Hopefully not for too long. But yes, he might have been like the weakest link, but I kind of feel bad for McGarry. Like, he had, he's had a rocky few seasons, and then, he comes in this year, like kind of banged up right off the bat, finally, makes his way back, solidifies that right side, isn't playing great, but isn't super horrible. And then now, you're dealing with the COVID stuff. So, hopefully it's something that he can bounce back from. But then also another kind of surprise was Dante Fowler sitting out today. That one kind of hurts. He's been your more productive pass rusher. I think he's got 2 or 3 sacks already this season.
I think he got 2 sacks. He was on his way to his third in that Washington game, and that was the one we let get away for that miracle touchdown to McLaurin.
Exactly. And so, it kind of sucked because it seemed like he was really starting to get starting to get his feet under him as far as what Dean Pease is wanting him to do. So, you never like to see. Hopefully, it's just missing a practice. Today's only Wednesday.
Yeah.
This is like really their first day back. So, as far as like being on the field, so we'll see how it goes as the week progresses. We should know better by our show on Friday whether Fowler's going to play or not. You should have at least a better picture by then. If he's a full participant come Friday, you feel pretty good about his chances of playing. But we got some receiver help back. Calvin Ridley was back out on the field, which makes me wonder. Obviously, we can only speculate on what kept him out, but part of me makes me wonder if it was something to do with international travel. With everything that's going on, that may have been something that he wasn't necessarily comfortable with, or I've seen rumors floating around that somebody close to him passed away. If that's the case, I really hope that that they have the closure that they needed, or what have you. My heart goes out to anybody's family members who of a passed away loved one. So, but you got him back, you got Russell Gage back, so that should really maybe like start to up the production from the wide receiver, because it's been rough last couple weeks in the wide receiver production area. I don't know what y'all's feelings on that are.
I tell you this though, I think it goes back to the way the team was playing before the bye. Now again, it was the Jets, but again, this is a Jets team that looks like a really good Tennessee Titans team, right? So I think what I saw is Matt Ryan getting comfortable. Actually, those guys being out might have been a blessing in disguise a little bit for Matt Ryan, from the standpoint that, he got a chance to target his tight ends a little bit more. So he's actually gone through the exercise in a live game where he's gotten Hayden Hurst open for a touchdown. Kyle Pitts has scored a couple touchdowns, right? And then you throw Ridley. Maybe we'll see what we can do with Gage. I think Arthur Smith understands that he's got to maximize all of the players on this offense for us to have a chance to be competitive. And again, you did teeter around with that possibly a 3-3 word, but again, I will say this: the Panthers, just not that we're just looking around, not saying we're on a fringe playoff. And again, people start they'll start shooting us down. They'll stop watching the show once we start talking fringe playoff team. But I will say this: Panthers are starting to trend a little bit in the other direction, and I think again, the better this team can gel, I think the more competitive we'll be. And again, we could continue. There's some winnable games left.
Oh yeah, there are definitely some winnable games, but then there's also some games that we thought might have been a little easier that may not look as easy now. I mean, we joked about Dan Quinn's defense out there in Dallas, but it's actually starting to really show up out there, and they won a shootout, albeit it was against the Mac Jones led New England Patriots, but they're showing that they have some fight and some resiliency. So it'd be interesting to see how that transpires. Honestly, one of the things that I want to kind of get into. Obviously, we don't have a game to talk about like we normally do in this, but what are y'all like looking for coming out of this bye? To be complete, what is something that you're wanting to see? Is it the continued progression of the offense? Because we can talk about how, in the last, 2 or 3 games, Matt Ryan is like 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Like his play has really stepped up quite a bit. He's gone from looking like a scared 14-year veteran to, shades of his, former MVP self. So like what are y'all looking for coming out of this, coming out of this bye?
I need Matt Ryan to continue to play at the high level he's played in the last 3 games. Like I said before, JR, when you and I did the last show that we did talking about, when the Falcons going into the bye week after 5 games, if Matt Ryan can continue playing at the level that he's playing at right now, we have a shot to win. We can argue we could have been 3-2 with the last 3 games that he's played well in, but the defense didn't help us in one of those games. But the 2 games we won, we did have help from the defense, and we're going to still need that defense to show up and give us something to help Matt Ryan with the performances that he's going to be putting out there. I got to tell you, that first game, Matt Ryan against Philadelphia Eagles, them 2 intentional groundings and all of that stuff, it had me a little nervous. Had me a little nervous. And I'm sure many fans was like, wanting to say, hey, see, this is why we should have drafted a QB. Matt Ryan is losing it. And I was almost on that tip of saying that this might be Matt Ryan's last year if he can't seem to put it together. And right now he's still proving he can play at a high level. So that's what I want to see is Matt Ryan continuing to play at the level that he's playing at right now. Right.
Yep.
What you got, Big Mike?
Well, and I think the most important thing with this team, man, is the trenches, right? I want to see some cohesion, continued cohesion out of the offensive line, right? And I think, where I'm not necessarily worried is with Jason Spriggs, right? Because I think Caleb McGarry was a bit of a weaker link, but Jason Spriggs has started NFL games before. I think that, in a pinch, maybe a couple games, if he plays the next couple of games, I don't think we lose much from the offensive line standpoint, at the right tackle standpoint. Now, it's not ideal, but if we really look at our offensive line situation, it's not ideal to begin with, right? But I just want to see those guys continue to, like Jalen Mayfield, I just want to see him like, man, he's kind of got a chance to process the whirlwind a little bit.
Right.
He didn't have to, he got a chance to kind of reflect on all that was thrown at him. And I think he's a guy that if he's really looking at it in the right way, he'll probably be a little bit, I wouldn't say happy because you don't want to get content, but at least pleased with where he's come from, right? So I think he's shown the ability to play in this league, and the continued growth of the offensive line is what's going to take us to a position where we'll be in the game. Like now, the defense, that's I don't know what we don't know what we're going to get from the defense coming back from the bye because there's nowhere they can go but up. To be honest with you, collectively as a unit, but I would say definitely the offensive line continuing to gel because that's just going to open up so much. Cordell Patterson, Mike Davis, being able to get some holes. So that's all. Just I want to see Arthur Smith be able to establish more running plays, and we can control the clock a little bit more than we can. We don't have to throw as much as we have the last 2 or 3 games.
That's like I think I want to echo what you're saying there, Mike. One of the things that I was looking forward to. With Smith coming in here, was lowered attempts, by Ryan, hoping to like extend his career. We're not going to get into the chat just yet, but Smart Ride, made a comment that says Matt Ryan is 25th in passing yards. What are we talking about? I find it funny that when we're talking about Matt Ryan's good and we bring up passing yards, people call it empty stats. So I challenge, Smart Ride there with your 25th in passing yards. I just looked it up to confirm it before I said it. Matt Ryan is, 14th over right now in touchdowns thrown. So, if the passing yards are down, but the running yards are up to balance it out, then I'm fine with it. I don't necessarily need Matt Ryan to have a ton of passing yards. I need Matt Ryan to be efficient. I need his interceptions to be down. I need his, passing percentages to be up. Like right now, as far as interceptions goes, like there's only a few guys who have less than his 3. So, completion percentages, like right now, Matt Ryan is like in the top 10 for completion percentages. So like I want his efficiency to be up. I don't need necessarily, a ton of passing yards myself because I would like for the run game to be able to take some of the burden. You had a good run game to no avail, but you had a good run game against Philly. You didn't have, a good one, against Tampa Bay, but nobody really has so far. And then, Washington was tough sledding as well, but you got back over 100 yards against the Jets. So what I would love to continue is to continue to see, the run game develop.